You are standing around a fire. It is 50,000 BC. The sun just went down. There is no Netflix, no phone. There is no existential dread about your inbox. And somewhere, one of your ancestors looked at that smoke and thought, wait, what if I did that on purpose? This is how humans discovered smoking. Let us start with fire. The oldest confirmed evidence of controlled fire use by our ancestors contained fire used deliberately inside a cave. 1 million years ago, we were not even Homo sapiens yet. That was Homo erectus. Our earlier cousin with a smaller brain, a heavier brow, and absolutely zero interest in being told what to do. But here is where it gets interesting. When you burn organic matter, you do not just get smoke. You get a cocktail of compounds depending on what you are burning. In other words, some of our ancestors were absolutely accidentally getting high around the campfire. But when a human brain has responded to cannabis, their brain said, I've been waiting for you. The oldest direct evidence of cannabis use comes from a burial site in the Pamir Mountains. Braziers and stones were placed deliberately in a ritual context 2,500 years ago. Does absence of evidence mean it didn't happen? Organic material almost never survives in the ground. A wooden pipe? Gone in a few centuries. That is not evidence of absence. Herodotus described the Scythians performing what he called a vapor bath. They threw hemp seeds onto heated stones and howled with pleasure. Exactly what Herodotus described. Tobacco is native to the Americas, completely unknown to Europe, Africa, and Asia until 1492. His crew also within weeks tried it themselves, because of course they did. But tobacco use in the Americas is far as used in healing rituals in ancient America. The smoke itself was a living between caring carrioled. In Utah, researchers found a hearth. It was 12,000 years old, containing seeds of wild tobacco. It raised a fascinating question. What were others doing? Ronald Siegel, A Pursuit of Thirst and Sex. Not just in humans, elephants deliberately seek out fermented marula fruit. Reindeer in Siberia eat these mushrooms. They drink each other's urine because the compounds pass through intact. It is drug recycling. If this drive is this old, humans likely did the same. They learned which plants were safe and which were deadly. Trial and error here had very high stakes. One mistake could kill you before you figured it out. Smoking as medicine. One of the oldest known medical documents dates to ancient Egypt around 1550 BC. It describes treatments involving the inhalation of for conditions affecting the throat and lungs. Dhumapana, or smoke drinking, was not improvised. Across multiple early civilizations, there is evidence of deliberate therapeutic smoke inhalation, because it worked. Shared rituals, including, so when a ritual synchronized neuraltery and altered state, the ritual smoke circle was not just a party. It was infrafruction. When Columbus arrived, he saw people inhaling smoke. His crew was baffled. They tried it themselves. Because of course they did. A shaman who smoked was not on a cigarette break. He was opening a channel between the living and the divine. The smoke itself was a living carrier, a messenger between worlds. What indigenous Americans incorporated into measured ritualistic cultural practice was turned into a mass-market consumer product. The tobacco industry spent decades suppressing evidence that cigarettes caused cancer. A shaman in 500 BC and a tobacco company executive in 1960. Both involve smoke. Almost nothing else is the same. We do not know when humans started smoking. The evidence takes us back 12,000 years. It may be as old as fire. The ones who survived remembered. They passed it down. Not in writing. Ear in the dark. That is how most human knowledge worked for most of human history. Lived experience. By the time the historical record begins, in every corner of the world, humans were already finding ways to put smoke into their bodies. But the behavior was already ancient. There is something almost poetic about that. For all the things that separate modern humans from our ancestors, there are these thin threads of continuity that run unbroken through. The oldest humans sat around fires and breathed the same smoky air you would smell at a bonfire tonight. Some of them, at some point, started paying attention to what that chewing to them. All the way to the Scythians howling with pleasure in their tents, the Egyptian physicians prescribing smoke, the Taino people watching confused Europeans cough until their eyes watered. The chain never broke. Either way, next time you sit around a summer fire or catch a whiff of wood smoke on a cold night, you are participating in something far older than you realize. You are doing what humans have always done. 50,000 years of the same impulse, the same fire, the same smoke, the same breath. The behavior was already ancient by the time anyone thought to write it down. For all the things that separate modern humans from our ancestors, there are these thin threads of Kareel. That was the point. Some of them started paying attention to that smoke, and then they started choosing it and passing that choice down, all the way to you, catching a whiff of wood smoke on a cold night. You are doing what humans have always done. You are breathing.